All right, we're back for another Good Vibes with Debbie Cox DeNova. And there you see her right here on the side of me. How you doing, Debbie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Now, we shouldn't have any problem with today's subject if we're talking about certain people. Mm-hmm. Activating confidence.
Activating confidence.
Easier said than done.
Yes. Well, a lot of people have the belief that you either have confidence or you don't have confidence. Right. That's actually not true. Confidence is a skill that you can learn through your life. It's not like you're born either confident or not confident. Right. There are a lot of different things that you can do to raise your feeling of empowerment and confidence in the world. And we're going to talk about the inside stuff and the outside stuff and how it all can work together to raise someone's confidence.
Yeah. So you make some good points. You see quarterbacks in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And you see some of them, when they make a mistake, they crumble.
Yes.
You see others, when they make a mistake, they go out in the next drive, score a touchdown, everything is fine and dandy.
Yeah.
But in between that mistake and the confidence, you got to find a way to get it back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that resilience comes down to our relationship to ourselves and what we believe. And a belief really is a thought that we think over and over and over again, and it becomes a belief. And then we have a certain level of certainty on whatever field of play. It could be football, it could be a business meeting, it could be a date, right? You have a certain level of certainty that you go in with. And because of the level of certainty or the belief in the amount of certainty that you have, your performance shows up in accord, right? If you don't believe that, if you don't have a whole lot of certainty that something's going to work out, right? It's like a salesperson going door to door and going, you don't want to buy this, do you, right? You go in, you have a low level of certainty, you have a low level of performance, which obviously will also inform the results, right? So once you have negative results after you have a low belief in certainty to potential, a low level of performance, then you get low results. That is a feedback loop, and it goes back into, well, see, the belief system goes, I knew I couldn't do it. I knew this was not going to work out. And then, of course, you show up then with less performance, which obviously diminishes the results even more, which obviously feeds back into negative belief systems. So this is a negative spiral that a lot of people are in, and it just drives the confidence down. But think about it, if we can raise our certainty about something, if we can believe into higher potential, then we show up with higher performance, which then leads to better results, which then, of course, feeds into the belief that there is more certainty for higher potential in the future. That begs the question, though, then how do you do that? If you're not actually getting the results yet, how do you create the certainty in yourself? And we've talked about this in a number of different ways. It's about what you actually envision for yourself. The communication within yourself is always so important. And we as human beings, the way our subconscious mind works is if we close our eyes and we, on a consistent basis, imagine the best case scenario, our brain doesn't make the distinction with time or whether or not it's actually happening. It creates new and neural pathways, and it becomes as though we've already experienced it in the past. And so when we step into the field of play, we actually behave as though it's happened before, which raises the certainty, raises our performance, raises our results, which then again raises our belief.
I think you brought it up a couple of weeks ago. I could be wrong on the week, but you said if you're gonna go out and envision yourself to be a lion and you're a football player, it's better than envisioning yourself to be a sheep.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And I think you're talking about the alter egos conversation. Yes. And that's the thing, is that if you've related to yourself, human beings have this drive to prove to themselves. They don't want to act or perform outside of what they know themselves to be. So if you're always describing yourself, for example, as someone who's shy, I just don't have a lot of confidence, I'm just a shy person, it is very unlikely that you're going to show up in any fields of play outside of your belief system of who you are as a person. So if you are someone who has known yourself to be shy up until this point, behaving outside of that shyness and proving to yourself that you actually have a broader range of behavior than you thought yourself to have before is really important. But again, how do you do that? Then you can borrow from that alter egos conversation. emulating someone is often much easier for us to do than just for us to concoct a different way of being than we've ever known. So find somebody who exudes confidence in your mind, and then just emulate their behavior for just a couple of days. It's going to feel weird at first. You're going to feel outside of your box, but what will inevitably happen is that you will have experiences that will broaden your range. Maybe you'll get some compliments from people. You'll start to develop a different relationship with yourself around who you are and how you can show up in the world.
But you can't be like the cowardly lion who goes out and acts all tough.
No.
And then she calls him on it, and then he starts crying.
Exactly.
So he totally got shot down and lost his confidence.
Yeah, and so being tapped into that belief, and that it's almost like there's a level of trust that you have to come in with. You know, the distinction between being confident and cocky, very different vibrational experiences, because one is sort of a smokescreen for insecurity, right? And the other one is actually a genuine belief in self. So to some degree, there has to be a trust in the situation. A lot of people, because we're kind of hardwired to look for cues that we're going to get kicked out of the tribe, essentially. We're assuming that people want us to fail, when in reality, what we know from research is that people actually, by and large, people want you to win. When you go into a situation, if you can remember that people are actually interested in winning, they're actually interested in connecting, and you start taking the attention off of yourself and really focusing on how you can contribute to this person, how you can give, how you can be of benefit to someone else. That in and of itself will raise your confidence and have you coming vibrationally from a clean, confident space versus I'm trying to I'm convincing you of something because I just don't feel quite right in this role.
You're sitting in a room, and female and a male. This from the female perspective.
Yes.
What are females looking for in a man that would exude confidence?
That's a great question. Okay, so in general, people, and what we recognize in people through research is that when we first meet somebody, we are basically bucketing them off into two buckets, winners and losers, okay? And so what studies from the University of British Columbia have found is that in general, people evaluate people who take up a lot of space. So if you're large and expansive within your body, as more confident, right, as a winner, versus people who are smaller in their bodies, which obviously we've talked about before, indicates shame and insecurity and defeat, right? Okay. So one of the big main things that both men and women, whether we're talking about romantic relationships or just in general, look for is open body language. Now, we don't want to be aggressive with it, right? You're not, but, you know, so there's that little safe zone, especially depending on where you are. But you're looking for someone who has their chin lifted, right? One of the things that they tell ballerinas is to look up and out into the, up like this. And that is kind of what we're looking for in confident people, is someone who is open and scanning out of the room. That's a sign of confidence. Louis Howes says that one of the things that he was taught to do when he walks into a room is to imagine the top of his head touching the door. So it's that lifting and that opening of your body. Your chest is lifted, but your shoulders are relaxed, your arms are loose. Research from the Biomotion Lab shows that we look for a happy and relaxed movement in a walk to evaluate whether someone is confident or not. Right. It's someone who's in action, who believes enough in themselves that they're taking action in a very confident and rooted way. And interestingly enough too, it's someone who is, when someone is truly in confidence, they're actually open to being wrong. They're actually being open to learning. Whereas when we're talking about somebody who is actually pretending to be confident and is cocky, they're less open to feedback. They're less open to being wrong. So someone who is open and to learning and leaning in when someone is giving feedback.
I always think of John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
Some people said he was cocky, others said he was confident. There's a fine line, isn't there?
There is, but
it's a big line.
It's a big line because the distinction really is, and again, we are hardwired to read people energetically. When you're talking about someone who's cocky, they're coming from a fear-based place. I don't want you to see that I'm actually insecure below. See, the insecurity is red, right? And then on top of that, they overlay this but I'm so confident because it's coming from a fear-based place. This is why they're not open to feedback. They're not open to being wrong. They're not open to learning anything because it puts a chink in that smoke screen, right? Whereas someone who is confident, it really is coming from a love-based place, and is usually is looking to be in service, right? They're looking to contribute. So they believe in themselves, but they're also giving to other people and open to self-evaluation and adjusting their behavior if they need to.
All right. So with that said, what does a man need to see from a woman?
Oh, that's a great question too. So it's the same thing, right? We're all looking for these happy, relaxed, open posture, someone who has belief in themselves, who's willing to take risks in the way of behaving or showing up differently, unique, right? There was one study that was done on the tone of voice, right? So a woman who does that little question at the end, like, hi, my name is Debbie, right? That actually has been shown in men specifically to make them feel like this person is less trustworthy, right? So we're having that tone of it, like they call the authority tone, right? Where it goes down instead of like question mark, asking a question at the end of each statement. Things like eye contact, right? Connectivity. Those are all signals of confidence, and again, because we're evaluating all the time, winner or loser.
So uptones and downtones make a big difference.
They make a difference, specifically in men to women, right? Because and that's typically something that you hear in women anyway, like the Paris Hilton thing. I think is where it started, where it's like, like it's like it goes up at the top. So that is something that a lot of, especially a whole generation of women, have been taught.
So like you would say, hi, my name is Debbie.
Hi, my name is Debbie. Yeah.
My name is Debbie.
Yes.
Okay.
And then when it comes to tone and also the way that you show up, happy is something that the research shows over and over again. Happy and relaxed are things that people respond to, both in tone of voice and the way that you show up in your body language. We want to connect to happy people. So one of the things that Vanessa Van Edwards says is never answer the phone when you're in a bad mood. Bring yourself up to a happy, confident state. Gratitude is another thing that will raise confidence. So keeping a gratitude journal, but also having gratitude totems, right? So if you are at a specific red light every day, maybe while you're at the red light the entire time, talking to yourself about things that you're grateful for, things that you already have, actually raise your confidence. Learning new things, so having a learning bucket list and constantly be checking off from your learning bucket list. Every time we learn something, it raises our confidence in the world.
That's a good topic.
Yes.
If I were king of the forest. So the lion had to get his confidence back.
Yes.
I think he got it in the end, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah.
Took him a while, but he got it.
It did,
All right,
yes.
Great topic. Good to see you again.
You as well.
All right, there you have it. Debbie Cox DeNova. We'll see you next time on Good Vibes. See you around the corner.